Welcome to the deep dive. We sift through the sources, find the core insights, and give you that shortcut to really understanding complex topics. Today, we're tackling, well, a giant, the Roman Empire. Think about this for a sec. At its peak, Rome controlled something like 21% of everyone on Earth, 3 continents, from the Atlantic coast way over to the Caspian Sea, Britain down to Mesopotamia, just massive. And the question, the one that always gets me, is how? How does a little village on the Tiber River become that, such a huge, lasting power?
That's exactly what we're digging into. It wasn't just one thing, it was this incredible mix. Their military smarts, their political, innovations, their economic muscle, and this amazing ability to adapt culturally. We've pulled out the key moments, the really surprising facts from the sources to give you that clear picture without drowning you in details.
Exactly. You get the insights, those aha moments that connect it all. So let's dive in right at the beginning. Rome's start was, pretty humble. Sources all agree it kicked off as a small settlement, maybe 7 hills, 8th century BCE. Had kings early on, figures like Romulus, starting that initial push into central Italy.
Right, but the big shift, 510 BC, the monarchy gets tossed out and boom, you've got the Republic, elected magistrates, the Senate. This was a totally new way of doing things. And it wasn't just politics. It really fueled their early growth across Italy. They started taking down rivals, Etruscans, Samnites, Gauls.
Okay, and this is where things get really intense, right? The Punic Wars, 264 down to 146 BC. Against Carthage. This wasn't just another war. This was, for their very existence.
Absolutely. They were pushed to the brink. But what's fascinating is what they learned from it. The sources stress this logistics long-term strategy. That's what came out of that fight. And winning meant controlling the whole Western Mediterranean. Sicily, Spain, North Africa, all Roman.
Wow. Okay, so fast forward a bit. 2nd century BC, they conquer Greece, soak up all the Hellenistic culture.
Yeah, and suddenly there's this huge maritime power, a colonial force.
Right.
But that growth, it caused problems too. Lots of internal tension, social strife, even civil conflicts. But strangely, that often led to needed reforms.
Right, the expansion brought in tons of wealth, enslaved people too, and that really supercharged the growth of cities.
And all that internal drama kind of sets the scene for the next massive change. Enter Julius Caesar.
Ah, Caesar. His conquest of Gaul, think modern France, Belgium, bits of Switzerland in that first trip to Britain, his rise, the civil wars that followed, that was pretty much the end of the road for the Republic.
Definitely. After he's gone, his heir, Octavian, plays it smart. Wins the big showdown against Antony and Cleopatra at Actium, 31 BCE. He gathers all the power, becomes Augustus, the first emperor, in 27 BCE. That's the official start of the Roman Empire.
And the start of the famous Pax Romana, right? That long period of relative peace.
Exactly. Peace, stability, prosperity. And it really defined the empire for almost 2 centuries.
So you've got this massive empire now. How do they actually control it all? We got to talk about the military, the Roman army. It was just something else.
It really was. And it wasn't always the professional machine we picture. It started out as citizen militias.
Yeah.
King Servius Tullius, apparently, organized them based on, how wealthy you were.
But it changed a lot.
Oh, totally. Adaptability was key. They started with something like the Greek phalanx, pretty rigid. But facing fighters like the Gauls and Samnites, who were more agile, they had to adapt. Late 4th century BCE, they developed the manipular system.
Manipular, so smaller, more flexible units.
Exactly. Small groups that could move and fight independently. Huge tactical advantage. That's when they started having 4 legions. Big step up.
Then comes Gaius Marius, around 107 BC. The Marian reforms. This sounds like a big one.
Oh, it was massive. A real game changer. Marius opened up the army to men without land. The poor could join.
So it goes from a part-time thing to a full-time job.
Precisely. A professional standing army. Longer service terms. And he changed the structure again from the maniple to the cohort.
Cohort. More flexible, more powerful.
They became the absolute backbone of how they fought. Soldiers got standard gear, and this is crucial land when they retired. That bought loyalty.
Okay, so Marius professionalizes it. What did Augustus do?
Augustus took that professional army and refined it. Tied it directly to the emperor. He cut down the number of legions, maybe too many after the civil wars, to 28 permanent ones. Veterans loyal to him, and he set up the Aerarium Militare.
A military treasury.
Yeah, funded by new taxes, it paid the soldiers, gave them pensions, guaranteed loyalty, stability. Smart move. He also sorted out the auxiliaries, the non-citizen troops, gave them a path to citizenship after service, another way to integrate and reward loyalty.
So the success wasn't just numbers or fighting skill. It was this incredible organization, discipline.
Absolutely. Strict hierarchy allowed for amazing coordination, but
Yeah.
they weren't just fighters.
Right. The building, you hear about the camps they build every night?
Every single night. Think about that. Reduces surprise attacks massively, secure base wherever they were. And these soldiers, they were engineers, laborers, craftsmen, artillery guys. They could build forts, bridges, siege engines, whatever was needed.
And the logistics to support all that. It just boggles the mind.
Yeah.
Getting supplies everywhere, the road network for moving troops fast, communication.
It was a whole system designed to keep that machine running anywhere for long campaigns.
So when you think about running any big operation today, the lesson here is it's not just about having the power, is it?
Not at all. It's structure, it's adaptability, it's making sure all the pieces work together smoothly. Rome just nailed that on an epic scale.
Beyond the legions, though, their political setup, their administration, that was just as important for holding it all together, wasn't it?
Absolutely fundamental. And again, flexibility is the word. Monarchy, republic, empire. They kept evolving to meet challenges. Think about the republic. 2 consuls, elected yearly, could veto each other. An advisory senate started patrician, got more inclusive, handling big stuff like foreign policy, money, plus popular assemblies.
So it wasn't static, it kept changing.
Exactly. That political flexibility was maybe their secret sauce, always tweaking the framework. Then Augustus comes along, centralizes power under the emperor's system, titles like princeps, first citizen, and tribunica potestas that gave him tribune powers without the office.
Genius, really.
Made things more efficient, stable bureaucracy.
Hugely efficient. Led to a much more stable administration.
And underpinning that administration was law, this idea of universal law.
Yes. A single legal system for citizens, eventually for most subjects.
Okay.
The 12 tables, their first written code, things like the right to appeal, foundational stuff.
And they used citizenship strategically, didn't they? Giving it out to allies, conquered peoples. Oh, yeah. Diplomacy and integration. Granting partial or full citizenship over time or for service, like those auxiliary troops we mentioned. It wasn't just generosity.
Is smart politics.
Definitely. Extending citizenship was a masterstroke for Romanizing areas, turning potential enemies into stakeholders, made governing easier, boosted loyalty, and critically expanded the army recruitment pool.
Which led eventually to that Edict of Caracalla, 212 AD. Everyone gets citizenship.
Well, all free inhabitants. But yeah, a massive step. Shows how central that idea became.
And they were pragmatic, too. Didn't just steamroll local customs everywhere.
Generally, no. Respecting local traditions, leaders, that was key for stability. As long as you paid your taxes, supplied troops, and didn't rebel, they often allowed a surprising amount of local autonomy.
Client states, too, right? Buffer zones?
Exactly. Client states, allied territories, created this network of semi-independent regions loyal to Rome, reduced direct administrative burden.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? That balance between central control and local needs, a challenge we still wrestle with today. Rome was figuring it out on a vast scale.
And funding all this, the military, the administration, the building, required a powerful economic engine.
Which came largely from conquest initially.
A huge chunk of it. Wealth pouring in enslaved people, gold and silver from places like Spain and Dacia, grain, other resources, that funded the army, funded those amazing public works.
And conquest opened up new markets, new trade routes across the Med and beyond. Luxury goods from India, China.
Absolutely. Trade flourished. And to manage it all, they needed a system, a pretty complex bureaucracy, taxation, some ideas maybe borrowed from the Persians.
How did the taxes work? Was it the same everywhere?
No, it varied. Land taxes, customs duties on trade, wealth taxes, and crucially, they kept records. Meticulous records, censuses, land registries. They knew who owned what.
And the Annona, the grain supply. That sounds vital.
Oh, it was the lifeline, especially for Rome itself and the legions, managing grain collection, distribution. It kept the city fed, prevented riots, kept the army marching. Absolutely critical.
But when you think Roman economy, you think infrastructure, right? The roads.
The roads are legendary for a reason. Essential for moving armies, yes, but also supplies, official messages, trade goods. They knitted the empire together.
And the ports must have been crucial too.
Huge, especially in the Mediterranean. Ports fueled trade, military logistics, helped cities grow by connecting them to the wider world. Think about Portus near Rome. Claudius started it. Trajan expanded it. Archaeology shows this massive artificial harbor, this unique hexagonal basin like 13 Colosseums big, warehouses, canals linking it to the Tiber.
Wow. Just purpose-built for feeding Rome.
Exactly. A symbol of their mastery of the sea, as one source called it.
And they could build them anywhere, it seems. Caesarea Maritima in Judea, no natural harbor, sandy coast, earthquakes.
And they still built a massive offshore harbor decades before Christ. That's where their engineering really shines.
How did they manage that on sand?
Hydraulic concrete. This amazing mix, using volcanic ash puzzolana from Italy with rubble and lime. It hardened underwater inside these wooden boxes, caissons, basically created artificial bedrock. Unbelievable stuff.
That ingenuity is just staggering. And sometimes we get glimpses into that trade network through things like shipwrecks. The Balfera.
Right. A big Roman merchant ship found off Spain, about 100 feet long, carried maybe 200 tons, had everyday stuff like fish sauce, garum, but also lead ingots.
Lead ingots, stamped IMP for the emperor.
Exactly. Coins dated the wreck to around 66 AD, Nero's time. That lead was almost certainly heading to Rome for Nero's big palace project, the Golden House, after the Great Fire, for plumbing, baths, that sort of thing.
And it probably sank in a storm. Heavy cargo shifted.
Seems likely.
Yeah.
But that ship, the Balfera, it's like a snapshot, isn't it? Shows you the scale of these networks, moving materials for huge imperial projects, keeping the whole thing running.
So Rome hits its absolute peak territorially under Emperor Trajan, 98 to 117 AD.
That's right, about 5 million square kilometers. Maybe up to 100 million people. Atlantic to Caspian, Britain to Mesopotamia, just vast. He conquered Dacia, modern Romania, parts of Arabia, Armenia, Mesopotamia.
The height of the Pax Romana, really. Peace, prosperity, cities growing.
Yeah, that period initiated by Augustus was still going strong. Cultural achievements, relative stability. It looked unstoppable.
Looked unstoppable. But even at the peak, the seeds of future problems were there.
Absolutely. Starting maybe late 2nd century AD, you see things intensify. Economic problems, leadership crises, those barbarian invasions becoming more serious.
The sheer size must have become a problem in itself.
Definitely. Military overstretch. Just too much territory to effectively govern and protect. Strained manpower, strained resources, strained communication. Defending the borders, putting down revolts. It got incredibly expensive.
The army stretched thin, trying to fight on multiple fronts.
Exactly. Barbarian groups pushing in different places simultaneously. It became harder and harder to cope.
And politically, things got rocky too. Succession wasn't always smooth.
Far from it. Power struggles, assassinations, military coups became almost normal later on. Think about the crisis of the 3rd century, 235 to 284 AD. Something like 20 emperors in 50 years. These barracks emperors, put in power by their troops. No continuity.
Did the empire even split apart for a while then?
It did, briefly broke into 3. The main Roman part, a Gallic empire in the west, and the Palmyrene Empire in the east, eventually pulled back together, but it shows the strain.
And no clear system for choosing the next emperor often led to civil war.
Right. The Julio-Claudians struggled with it. Diocletian tried the Tetrarchy, 4 rulers, but that didn't last long after him. Plus, corruption was rampant, buying offices, bread and circuses, draining the treasury.
And economically, what went wrong?
Over-reliance on conquest wealth. When expansion slowed, the money and slave influx slowed too. That hurt. Taxes on citizens went up, causing discontent.
And inflation. I remember reading about the currency being debased.
Severe inflation in the 3rd century. They kept reducing the silver content in coins like the denarius. Its value just plummeted.
And relying so much on slave labor might have discouraged innovation, led to land not being farmed.
Arguably, yes. When the slave supply dwindled, it caused real problems for agriculture and maybe slowed technological progress in some areas.
Then you have the external threats getting worse. Barbarian invasions.
Yeah, Germanic tribes, Visigoths, Ostrogoths, Vandals, plus the Huns pushing from the east. More organized, more pressure. Hadrian's Wall, the Antonine Wall, they were basically trying to build boundaries.
And Diocletian dividing the empire, east and west, 286 AD, for manageability.
That was the idea, make it easier to govern and defend, but it also deepened the split between the two halves.
Were there other factors? Environment? Disease?
Seems so. Deforestation, soil erosion from intensive farming, some evidence for climate change, colder, less predictable weather affecting harvests, and plagues, like the big plague of Justinian later on, definitely took a toll.
It's such a complex picture. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What really stands out to you about how those internal problems made them so vulnerable to the external pressures?
It's that combination, isn't it? Internal weaknesses, political instability, economic strain, eroding their ability to respond effectively when the outside pressure ramped up. A powerful lesson.
But despite the fall, especially of the West, Rome's legacy.
Mm,
It's immense. It didn't just disappear.
not at all. Its influence on how we govern today is undeniable. Ideas about law written, universal, rights like appeal, the 12 tables as a model.
And the structures.
Yeah.
Republic, empire.
Yeah, that mix of monarchy, democracy, aristocracy. The two consuls kind of prefigure presidents or prime ministers. The Senate's advisory role looks a bit like modern legislatures, and we can learn from their mistakes too, right? Military overstretch, dangers of too much centralized power.
And culturally, architecturally, you see Rome everywhere. The roads, aqueducts, temples, baths, the Colosseum. Just monumental.
The Latin language, the foundation for so many modern languages. Huge impact.
And that process of Romanization, spreading customs, language, law,
Yeah.
knitting diverse peoples together.
Incredibly effective for its time, creating a shared identity over vast areas.
So, yeah, when you step back, we think of Rome as ancient, but its fingerprints are just all over our world. The plumbing in our cities, our legal systems.
Even everyday things. Fast-drying cement, indoor plumbing, apartment buildings, locks and keys, newspapers, public toilets, maybe even return policies for shops, fast food concepts, cosmetics, medicine, warfare.
The calendar, a
Yeah.
basic calendar we still use.
The Julian calendar, yeah. Modified later, but fundamentally Roman. It's amazing how much we trace back to them.
So wrapping this up,
Hmm.
it's clear Rome's rise wasn't down to just one magic ingredient.
Not at all. It was that potent mix. Military adaptability, smart reforms, political flexibility, economic integration, incredible infrastructure, and that knack for cultural assimilation. That whole package let them overcome massive challenges and leave this incredible lasting mark.
So a final thought for you, the listener, something to chew on.
If Rome's fall was the slow burn, internal decay, making it vulnerable to external shocks, what invisible stresses might be testing the foundations of our own complex systems today, even when things look strong on the surface?
It's worth thinking about that interplay, internal and external, in any big system. Maybe dig a bit deeper into how those ancient lessons resonate with the challenges we face now.